Excellent. Welcome out to tonight's presentation on how to market your doTERRA business and find people. I know as I go around the country and I talk with many of our good team members and distributors that finding people becomes one of the primary concerns. And as we become business owners, we kind of get lost in the idea of marketing. We're a lot of times when we come into this type of industry, we don't have the background with business that helps us understand how marketing works. So as we go through this, now I'm just going to show you a little screen here about who I am and some of the qualifications I have around marketing. And so my name's Rod Allen Richardson. I'm a diamond in doTERRA. My wife Jen and I were able to achieve that rank in 16 months. We hit silver in 4 months, gold in 6, and diamond in 16 months. I spent about 7 years prior to doTERRA training distributors and network marketing companies all across the country, some of the largest network marketing companies in the world, and many of the common names that you've heard of. I've been involved with training their distributors, and so I've had a broad exposure to the industry and to what and how people operate in this field. Also, in addition to that, I've spent over 12 years consulting and designing marketing strategies for businesses, and so I've literally developed hundreds and hundreds of marketing strategies for small businesses, emerging companies, entrepreneurs to help further themselves, and we've had some phenomenal successes doing that as well. And prior to having my own consultancy, I did have a corporate stint as an executive, mainly in marketing, and then of course my degrees and education and things are in the field of marketing as well. So that gives you a little background of why I thought it might be fun to approach this topic, especially in regard to being a doTERRA distributor. Now, the purpose of tonight's presentation is mainly to help you understand the entire marketing flow so that you can see exactly what it is that you're trying to accomplish. And then I'm going to give you about 10 steps towards the end of this presentation on how to create your own marketing strategy. So that as you're thinking about your business, that you'll have some starting points and some places to go, and hopefully a very clear idea on how you're going to grow your doTERRA business. The first question that needs to be answered is what is marketing? A lot of people have different ideas and opinions about what marketing actually is. Many people define marketing as advertising. In other words, they refer loosely to marketing as simply advertising. And marketing is an interesting animal, and advertising is one portion of marketing. So the field of marketing encompasses sales, it encompasses advertising, it encompasses public relations, it encompasses customer service, it encompasses a broad range of items that occur in business. And so in my consultancy, what I would refer to our clients is to help them understand the concept of marketing is that marketing is the process of doing business. And so one of those aspects, or the flow of it, is how you attract people. And so that's commonly what we think about is how we attract people. But the first thing to understand is where the centerpiece is. And the centerpiece of a marketing effort is the list. And so in doTERRA, we refer to making your list quite frequently, and many of you are probably familiar with that. We create a list, but we think about that loosely, and we may not recognize what a powerful tool the list actually is. And I also want you to understand that in traditional business, creating the list is one of the centerpieces of the marketing program, regardless. So, for example, when I was National Marketing Manager at Powder River, one of the first things that we did when we were we created a new product, and then we prepared for a launch. We created the marketing materials, and the purpose that we immediately went to before we launched everything was to create a list. So I went across the country and created a list of ranches that ran over 200 head of cattle. So that was the list that we put together, and then we designed campaigns to talk to that list. And so as you're thinking about it in terms of you being a doTERRA distributor, your doTERRA business is now one of your primary activities. And so your centerpiece of starting to acquire customers and build and expand your business, which includes growing in rank and growing your sales volume so that you can raise your commission levels. This all begins around this primary centerpiece of creating your list. Your list is the working point. It is the database that's going to create revenue for you. And so this, what you're looking at on the screen is actually a form that we've created specifically to create your personal list in doTERRA. And you'll notice that it has some critical information on it that includes the name of the contact and how you get a hold of them, and then dates of when you talk to that person. And then you'll notice to the right that it has a little cycle, and that cycle is a little bit about the marketing flow. And so on this form, what that would stand for is contact, sample, present, and enroll. So you can see that there's a process that your list goes through. And so as you build these systems and engines that help you walk through your marketing program, then just like you would in any other business, then these things start to make more sense. You start to look at people where they're at in the process, and not so much of who's going to be next. That kind of thinking sometimes is really detrimental to us, and sometimes discouraging too if we're not careful in how we view that. But as we add names to the list, and then we understand that we're processing that list, we're walking through these stages. So where and who goes on my list? What kind of people do we put on our list? And so the first thing that I want to show you is family and friends. Now, the reason why, one, you have to understand that the product that you have offers value to people. doTERRA products do change lives. I receive dozens and dozens of emails of people and how their lives have been impacted by oils. I go to classes all over the country, and I listen to stories, and I see pictures of how the oils dramatically impact people. And so I think to myself, why wouldn't I want my family and friends to have that great product available to them, to be able to empower them? And so family and friends go first on your list. Now, the reason why is because your family and friends already have a relationship with you, and that makes them the easiest part. Many people come into the doTERRA business, and they might say to themselves, I don't want to approach family and friends. However, with this type of product, that can be quickly dispelled, or should be, and if you utilize your relationships of your family and friends, then you have a friendly market. They might say some negative things to you, but they're most likely not going to, throw you off the bandwagon and disappear or anything like that. You can make your mistakes with this group. You can learn your presentation with this group. If I'm talking to family and friends and I'm not sure what I'm doing, I could even offer or ask them to allow me to practice my presentation on them, which of course is non-offensive and also helps them to hear and understand what you do. Another way that you can talk to family and friends is to contact them and say that I have just joined doTERRA, and I just wanted to let you know that me and my family are doing it as a business. Therefore, if you're ever approached about doTERRA and you consider buying their products or joining the company, I want you to talk to me first. So if you understand what I just said there, I extended an invitation. I told them what I was doing, and then I simply said, if you come in contact and you ever consider joining doTERRA, please talk to me first. That way, if they're approached, then your family and friends know to at least talk to you about it, which many of us have had. Many of our contacts may belong on somebody else's team simply because we did not talk to them soon enough. Now, when you first start in doTERRA, one of your first objectives is to talk to everyone you know as fast as you can, to let them know what you do. Let them know that you're involved. It doesn't have to be about them getting involved. It's about notifying your personal network that you're engaged in this, and that if they ever consider it, that they need to talk to you first. This is an important point, or you may find many of your family and friends on other teams. It's just kind of a fact of nature. Now, the next group of people is your work and community associates. There's lots of people that we may have maybe a name-based relationship, but they're not necessarily in the category of family and friends. And these are other people that we've become acquainted with or associate with in various parts of our lives. And so these are other people that can hit your list. Now, this is a big one, and we'll talk more about this as the presentation goes on, but thinking in terms of contacts of contacts. These are called referrals. And referrals can be a huge part of extending your warm market. And so contacts of contacts. And then, of course, as a last resort, this is when we go to the cold market. The cold market is very difficult. It's not impossible. It's just more difficult. So if you're trying to get a business going quickly, you want to start with your warmest markets first and then grow from there. And then if you run out of warm market, which hopefully after tonight you'll see how you can not run out of warm market, but if you did run out of warm market, then there's the cold market. And that can involve a whole different set of marketing strategy that helps you approach that market or expand your list, to grow your list, make your list bigger. Again, the purpose is to make the list bigger. Just a matter of fact, and just going to add this in terms of size of list, depending on what your goals are. I had heard a story of an individual who had founded a network marketing company. One of our good team members was talking to him, and he basically told this story. He said, you know, I talked to 1,700 people. I think it was some big number. It was 1,700 or 1,400 people. A lot of people. He talked to a lot of people, and then he said about 150 of them got involved in my thing. So he talked to 1,700 people. About 140 of them got involved with his thing. And then he said, and only two of those people did big things, took it seriously, and took it to the moon. And then what he pointed out is he said, but I want you to understand that those two people have made me millions and millions of dollars. So if you think about what was said, is he had a very large list. He processed the list, And some of the people were interested in using his product, and some of those people were interested in creating a business out of it. And 2 of them became huge producers. And so, which made him millions and millions of dollars. Now, I would put it out there that if you devoted yourself to creating a list of 1,500 people, now that may sound like a lot, but if your strategies were designed to create a list and to develop a clean message to 1,500 people, it would be almost impossible to not be financially free. Matter of fact, I would find it very, very difficult for you to not achieve all of your wildest dreams if you were to actually grow a list to that size and effectively process that list. And so then that begs the question, really begs the question, if your goal or desire is to be financially free, or to create over $1 million in retirement savings, or whatever your goal is, if that was on the other side of talking to 500 people, 1,000 people, then how does that shape your actions? How do you view that task? How do you go about the day reaching for your goal if you knew that after you talked to over 1,000 people that you would in fact be financially free, have over $1 million in retirement savings? What would you do? And it's a sobering question when you think about it that way, because the reality is most people only talk to a few people, and the reality is it really comes down to the number of people that you talk to. And marketing is about part of the marketing process is about getting people to talk to, which is building your list, creating that list. So let's take a look at the architecture of marketing. What does a marketing process look like? And so this is the first part. It's about targeting, which means defining who it is that you're talking to. It's about attracting those people, and you're attracting them through offers. You present and you make offers. Now those people that respond now go to a names list. They become part of your names list. And then it goes into the flow. Now when you're talking about that list, you're connecting, which means you're establishing relationships. Then you contact. Now contacting means that you make a direct invitation to take action. So if I'm contacting somebody, for example, then I would call them up and I might say something like, "Hey, John, I know we haven't visited for a while, but I was really glad to reconnect with you and your wife at the event last Saturday. And what I was curious about is how open are you to natural forms of healthcare?" So this is see, I've made a contact then. I put it out there to create a direct response. And so then John says, we really like natural forms of healthcare in our household. Why is that you ask? And then I would respond by saying, well, John, I've come across something that has been extraordinary in my household. It's benefited my daughters, it's benefited my wife, it's benefited myself, and I have discovered essential oil products and how they can replace a medicine cabinet in many of our medications that we take. It's given my household control and power over my health care. It's reduced my doctor's visits, and it's less expensive than many of the medication or over-the-counter medications that we've taken for the same issues in the past. And then he might say, "Wow, that's interesting." And then I would say, and that brings me to why I wanted to call John and figure out if you're open to this, because we're hosting a class at my house on Saturday, and we would really like you and your wife to be able to attend. And so now what I've just done is I've made a firm contact. This is the point. This is a true contact. The contact is a direct invitation to take some sort of action. So John will either at this point say, yes, I would like that very much, or he would say, no, I'm not really interested. And the bottom line is at this point, at the contact, it really doesn't matter if they're interested or not. A lot of us we get too bent out of shape. We talk to three people tell us no, and then we assume it doesn't work. It's just nonsense. We need to make firm invitations, and we need to make it to more than 10 people. And before we draw any sort of conclusion about whether or not we're being effective. Now, what I want you to understand is that the conclusion is not whether or not the business works. The conclusion is whether or not I am being effective. So hopefully that sinks in. It's not whether or not the business works. It is only whether or not I am effective. Now, the cool thing about effectiveness is that you can improve yourself. So, for example, if I talk to 10 people and none of them are open to natural forms of healthcare, then it's simply my problem. It's not the business's problem. The product is fine. The opportunity is fine. The business works just fine, as evidenced by, well, it's easy to point out that every single person from me above to the top of the company is financially free from the doTERRA business. And so if that really sinks in to what I just said, because I'm several levels from the top, I'm not I'm not even sure I'm in the master distributor's full structure, yet everyone from me above generates retirement level income. I think that's extraordinary. So what does that mean? That means that the business works. It means that it works. So if it's not working, it's not the business model that's not working. It's simply a skill or a way that you're doing things that simply needs to be improved. And so I talk to 10, and I determine whether or not I'm effective at that step. So if I contact 10 people and I'm not getting a response, then there's probably something wrong with what I'm saying. So then what do? I call my active upline, and I say, here's what I'm saying. And we review that. And then your upline will give you some coaching on how maybe you can make that more effective. Or maybe they can listen to you make a couple of approaches, and then they can help you adjust your language. I had a team member sit with me one time, and she said, I've been talking to people, and I haven't been getting a result. And so I asked her in detail, okay, exactly what do you say? And I could tell just a little bit of language that she was using was setting the stage for people to say no. She was asking people to not get involved. Basically, is how it turned out. And so we just tweaked her sentences just a little bit, just changed it a little bit. We took away the negative energy about things like if you're interested or things like that, and we changed it to just make a direct invitation. This is a great product. It's benefited my life. Would you like to come and learn more? And we changed that language just a little bit, and then suddenly she had people responding. So again, it wasn't a matter of the model being broken. It was just a matter of skills needing to be improved. It's not a big deal. If you want the reward from this company, just take the time to learn the skills. It's worthwhile investment. All right, so I've made that contact. Now the next phase that I would go into is I would probably, for myself, I like to sample. When I call and I make my first contact to somebody, I like to get them a sample, even if my course is a class. And the reason why is because I find that they come to classes better prepared, and my enrollment ratio goes up. They understand the oils a little bit better. I like to really expose my contacts. So I take my list, I contact them, and I offer them a sample. Most people accept my offer for a sample. And then once that they've gotten the sample, then I move them into the follow-up and invite. That means that I'm going to follow up, and I'm going to say, hey, John, how did you receive the samples I sent you last week? Yes, you did. Great. Have you had the opportunity to try them? Yes, I did. Fantastic. How did you like them? Or what did you use them for? And then usually they'll relate some sort of experience that they had in that process. And then I extend the invitation. Now that you have the oils, would you like to attend a class and learn more about how the oils work and how I can really empower your family with them? Now that's a follow-up and invite, and I've invited them to the presentation. And the presentation is the focal point for generating revenue. All marketing or previous communication and list building and inviting and contacting leads to the presentation. Everything, that's where it's funneling to. Everything I do is designed to create the opportunity to deliver a presentation. Now that's a really important point, because basically what this comes down to is I can identify your success rate by asking you one question. How many people heard the presentation from you this week? And depending on what your answer is, that determines whether or not you're enrolling people. And whether or not you get a commission check depends on whether or not you're presenting. And so if you are presenting to 5 to 10 people a week, then you're a person that's getting a Fast Start bonus check every single week. It's really simple math. If you are not getting bonus checks, or not getting any checks in the mail, not generating income, I would bet that you're not presenting to anyone, or you're only presenting to maybe 1 or 2 people. It would be very difficult to present to more than 2 people a week and not get a check in the mail. doTERRA is really awesome that way. Checks are generated when product sells. It's just like any other business. If you sell a product, the company sends you a check. Really awesome. Okay, so you've given the presentation, and then you've come to the end, and it's time for the enrollment. The enrollment is the closing sequence. It's an important part of the presentation. And I'll cover this a little bit more in a later slide. But understand that enrollment is an important skill, the act of enrolling someone. You need to know how to do it, how to enter somebody into the back office, what points they need to fill out on the enrollment form. You need to understand the offerings that you have, which are the kits and the oils, and how to tell somebody how much the product costs. These are just parts of understanding your business, and it's part of the marketing flow. Because remember, the purpose of the business is to provide people value in which you get paid for. And otherwise you don't have a business. I mean, you can provide value, and if you don't get paid for it, then it has not served a business purpose, and ultimately you can't sustain that. Then once I enroll somebody, then I want to engage them. I want them to become a permanent customer, because a permanent customer is residual income. Residual income is created from customers that continue to buy from me. And so there's some steps that I go through once somebody enrolls. The first thing is to get them connected to the team. And then once they're connected, because we have several different communication channels, we want them to get connected to the team. Now once they're connected, then they're receiving messaging from the entire organization, and it helps them feel like they're part of a big community, that they can engage themselves in and create relationships. It fills another need. Being part of a team is a big part of retention in keeping your customers part of your business. Then the next part is to engage them. That's to get them involved in what's going on in the team, and so that you can train them. And then you want to train them how the compensation models works, how they find answers to their questions. You then become the mentor for your new enrollment. And your job now is to integrate that person into the company and help them get the full maximum benefit from their products and hopefully from their business as well. And so this is the flow of how this all works, the process that you go through. All right, let's get into creating your marketing blueprint. So the top of the screen, you can see there's basically 4 phases. This is the business itself. To create revenue, you find, teach, enroll, and duplicate. That means you find people, you teach them the presentation, you enroll them into the business, and then you teach others to find, teach, and enroll. It's a duplication process. Now, step 1 is to define who you serve and how you serve them. This is a very critical step in marketing. It's basically understanding what you're about. I've been involved in many new startup companies that could not define this question. Somebody would come up with a brilliant idea, and then they would build it, and some companies have trouble discovering their market. They don't know who they're serving. And so marketing begins with this question. It's who do you serve and how do you serve them? So for example, I serve families, I empower mothers, and I provide financial self-reliance to those seeking additional income in their lives. And how do I serve them? I serve them by providing them with the essential oils and other doTERRA products that create these benefits in empowering empowering items into their house. And now I did watch a video here recently that was produced by TED. Some of you may be familiar with TED Talks, T-E-D Talks, and I think it's TED.com. All kinds of educational videos there to look up. And when you go there, this specific one was called, I think he called it the Golden Circle. And the idea is he talked about marketing in terms of 3 direct phases. So in the center of the circle, he had why, and then it went to how, and then the outer rim was what. And so companies that have had difficulty in the past marketing, it's because they start with the what, and then they talk about the how. And companies that are enormously successful start with the why, and then they tell you how they do it, and then they tell you what they sell. So hopefully you caught that picture there. It begins, if you want to be ultimately successful, it starts with the why. Why you want to serve these people. What is the message that you have inside of it? What is the freedom that you offer? What is the empowerment that has benefited your life that you can share with other people? What is the driving force that causes you to find joy in your work? If you can identify that space and you start your marketing from that space, why, and then you move to how. How do I do that? I serve people. I serve people with. I serve them with the life with nature's medicine cabinet. For natural products that empower their households, and this great financial opportunity that can provide unfathomable financial freedom and peace. And how do I do that? By offering people essential oils and enrolling them into doTERRA. And so you can see the power. So if I approach the marketing by saying, oh yeah, I have essential oils. Okay, that's a what, right? And I help you learn how to use them to empower your household. That's okay. So I've told you what it is, and I've told you how. And then it stops there, and then we wonder why people aren't involved, right? They don't respond very well to that. It keeps us isolated. However, if I start from the inside of the golden circle and I start with why, and then I describe how, and then I tell them what, That makes it's so different. So if you listen to this, listen closely to this approach. Here's going backwards. I sell essential oils, and I teach classes, and I help you understand how to use them so that you can empower your household. Okay, so that's approach one, coming from the outside in. Now, if I go from the inside out, listen to the power of this. I want you to understand something that has impacted my life. I have 3 daughters that have been dramatically impacted in their emotional health. I've helped them find, it's helped them find joy in their life. It's attracted friends, has raised their GPA in their school, has helped them feel good about themselves, has resolved health concerns, and at the same time, by sharing this incredible joy that's come to my household with others, by sharing that message with others, I have become literally financially free. And this has provided an unprecedented peace in my household that's just, that it's just, every day I just wake up and I can't even express the joy and the benefit that has come into my life because of these essential oil products that I've allowed into my household. Can I please teach you about them? So hopefully you understood the power of what just happened. When you start with your why, you move into how, and then you just tell them what. And don't make the mistake of starting with what and just telling them how. Now the step 2 is really important. This is it's understanding the value proposition that you offer. And so this is the basic value proposition: a pure, safe, and effective alternative to synthetic drugs and over-the-counter medications. That's the basic value proposition. Now, doTERRA has taken that a step further. How is that so? It's because most of the market is synthetic. A big part of it is food grade. There's a very little bit of part of it that's therapeutic. There's no regulation on the industry, so there's no way to moderate that. So doTERRA has stepped in and created certified pure therapeutic grade essential oils. Certified pure means they're the purest, most effective oils that you can possibly purchase. They're tested on 8 different accounts for viral bacteria contamination, pesticide residue, heavy metal presence, viral bacteria contaminants, shelf life. Most importantly, that the chemical constituents of the oil are at the right levels to create the health benefit. And basically these are the same chemical compounds that are found in your medications. It's just the difference is that companies identify specific chemical constituents. They synthetically make those into our current modern medications. This is the plant's original source. It's nature's medicine cabinet. So this is the difference. This is the value that we offer. This is the value proposition. Now, one thing you want to remember is that oils may not help everything, but they can help something. doTERRA has a very large product line, and just because past tense doesn't work on your headache doesn't mean that it doesn't work on somebody's headache. I've seen it time and time again where all our chemical makeup is just a little bit different, and so some things the oils may or may not be as effective as other things that you've done. It's okay. It's not an indictment on the product. For myself, for example, oils are extraordinarily effective for breathing issues in my household, have been effective in different types of coughs, overcoming flus and colds, and athlete's foot. I've had huge success with oils with that. However, other areas I haven't had as much success with the oils. So for example, for me, sometimes it might be hit or miss with the oils on things like seasonal allergies. And it's okay. It's okay. It's not an indictment on the product or whether or not it provides value to somebody. The product line provides my family immense benefit in different areas, and I have over 60 oils to choose from. One of those oils is going to impact a family, a person, an individual in a major way. And so just because one oil doesn't do one thing for you, it's not an indictment on the product. And so just understand that. You're going out, you're sharing a beautiful, beautiful gift of the earth. And this gift has provided extreme and extraordinary value to hundreds of thousands of people. And so just because one doesn't work for you one time or for a specific thing, it doesn't reflect on the value the product can provide. All right, now step 3 is to create your message. And so what messages are you creating? I gave you one, which is more related to why. Why do I do this? Now, here's some basic things in terms of your message. You want to create a 10-second pitch. You also want to create a 30-second pitch. Now, pitches are designed so that you can quickly attract people. And so sometimes you have a very limited time. And it all comes to the answer to this question. So in almost every situation, you were probably asked, what do you do? Now, if you want to, your idea when you're talking to people is you want to get people to ask you that question. Because if they ask you that question, they're open to hear the answer. That's why you want them to ask the question. So how do you get people to ask this question? It's really easy. All you do is ask them this question. So if you're out and you're meeting people, all you do is you say, hey, what's your name? My name's John. Oh, hi, John. My name's Rod. I haven't seen you around here before. What do you do? It's pretty easy. Now John tells me. He tells me all about his world. Now John may or may not ask me, what do I do? So that's the whole point. He either will or he won't. It doesn't matter what he chooses. The important thing is that I know how to answer if he asks me. Now this is, by the way, is how you avoid fear in contacting. If you're afraid to talk to people about doTERRA, about the business, don't worry about it. All you need to do is know the answer to this question. When somebody says, what do you do? You're on. This is where you practice. Write down your 10-second, your 30-second pitch. Here's kind of a 10-second. So John turns to me and he asks me. He says, Rod, so what do you do? And I say, I'm glad you asked, John. I go all over the country and I teach people how to replace their medicine cabinets with natural, safe, effective, essential oil products. Now that has a little bit of intrigue to it, right? Now if I was expanding that to a 30-second, that was my 10-second. That's my quick comeback. What do you do? And then I gauge his response. Is he interested? Is he not? It doesn't matter if he is or isn't. I'm just looking for the ones that are. So he responds, he's interested. That's great. What does that mean? He says, well, then I can start with why, right? I can remember that golden circle, and I can start with why. And so he says, that sounds really intriguing. What is that about? And so then I can turn and say, John, here about 2 years ago, a neighbor of ours brought by an essential oil, and it started having immediate health impacts on my family. And since then, since I've learned more about it, it's resolved depression issues with my daughters. It's helped them feel better about themselves. It's resolved a breathing issue with one of my other daughters and helps them sleep through the night. It's provided incredible peace and empowerment to my household. And not only that, but through sharing it, as we've gotten into it deeper, it's made us financially free. Now you can see there that I went from a 10-second to a 30-second, maybe even a 60-second pitch, and I started with why. Once I saw that he was open to hear it. That's the key. Is he open to hear it? For example, if he said, what do you do? And I turned around and I said, John, I go around the country and I teach people how to replace their medicine cabinet with all natural essential oils. And if he looks away and goes, oh, then that's where it ended. The process ended. He didn't enter the flow. He didn't enter the process. It doesn't matter where he goes from there. All I was seeing is if he's open. All right. Now step 4 is once you've crafted your message, now step 4 is to get in position where you can deliver the message. This is where you need to be out and talking to people. This is where your list comes in. If you have a list, you can call and talk to those people. You can connect with them on Facebook. You can communicate with people. That's the key. You have to deliver the message. And so you need to get yourself out into your community, involved in the things that you're involved in, school or dance club or gym class or football or political groups or church groups, whatever it is, you go out and you get involved because that puts you out talking to people, and that's where the magic happens. Now, some of you probably get into a position where you feel stuck. And so if you run into a position, and I hear this all the time, I don't have anyone to talk to. There's no one else to talk to. I've used up my whole list. And so if you are feeling stuck, it's because you're asking the wrong question. It's because you're asking the question, who do I know? This is how you get stuck. If you want to get stuck, ask yourself this question. Who do I know? Because your first response and the response of all your team members is going to be, I don't know anybody. Well, what you're really saying is that you don't know anybody that's going to be interested in your network marketing thing. That's what you're really saying. I can't imagine that anybody would be interested in my network marketing thing. And so as a result, I don't know anybody. And so that's where we get stuck, right? We're stuck. Now, the way to break this is by asking the right question. The right question is to ask your network, who do you know that? Now, this is just a small change in wording, but if you're asking the question, who do you know that has headaches? Who do you know that has arthritis pain? Who do you know that needs more energy? Who do you know that doesn't like going to the doctor? Who do you know that is uninsured? Who do you know that is unemployed and currently looking for an opportunity? Who do you know that is not satisfied with their current condition in life and would like to explore a way to create more freedom in their life? See how that works? Now, if I go to my, say I know 10 people. So if I'm asking the first question, who do I know? And I say I know these 10 people, and I go and I talk to all 10 of them, and none of them are interested. Now where do I go? You're stuck. But if I go to those 10 people and I ask, who do you know that? Hey, Jenny, I wanted to talk to you. You've known us for a couple of years now. I've just started a business selling a product that's had a huge impact on my family's life, and I want to share it with other people. I'm just curious, who do you know that's suffering from seasonal allergies? Who do you know that? I can go through the list, and I can probably drive 10 or 15 or 20 or 30 or 40 contacts from one person. And so what happens at this point is your network becomes infinite. All right, now step 5 is to invite prospects to receive a sample or come to a class. And so we talked about making that invitation. So I have my list. I've contacted, I call them up, and I say, hey, Tony, I was thinking about you the other day. My wife and I have come across something that has benefited our lives in a big, big way. It's helped us solve some health issues, and we've avoided some doctor visits, and we've created some wonderful freedom sharing it with others as well. I'm just curious if you are open to natural forms of healthcare. Okay, so now he responds, and then I give him an invitation. I'm just curious. I really want you to experience this for yourself. Can I send you some samples? Now, I've had almost no one refuse samples. Every once in a while, but not very often. Now, once they get the oils in the hand, that's the objective, get oils on the body, right? Get oils in their presence. You get them experiencing the oils. Then we can move on. So I've extended, this is contacting, right? Now when you're doing that, step 6 is, you want to pick your attraction strategy. You want to decide how you're going to get people onto that list. And so some of the ways that you can do that, your strategy, of course, should be very simple. It could be oil samples and books. In other words, that could be my strategy, is to give out oil samples and books. Maybe I'm feeling brave. Maybe I want to do some advertising. Maybe I'm putting articles out. Maybe I look at doing booths. I set up a booth at a farmer's market, or I attend a trade show, and I set my products out on a table where people are going to be walking by. Maybe this is my strategy. Canvassing. This is actually a door-to-door tactic. You just go down the street and start knocking on doors, and maybe you hand out little bottles of wild orange, or maybe you hand out a flyer, or maybe you hand out, I know at one time they had these little calendars that you can hand out, and you just walked up to the door and said, I'm giving away free calendars in your neighborhood. And it had all kinds of things about natural health. Or you could walk up to a door and just simply say, hey, I'm out in your neighborhood today. We teach how to use natural forms of healthcare to empower your household in the local area here. We just wanted to let the community know about classes that we're holding in the area. Okay, that's canvassing. It's okay. It's a cold market strategy. But hey, it's something to do to add people to the list. Cold contacting, of course, you could open a phone book and just dial down the list if you wanted to. There's companies that do that. And you could use the same approach as you do in canvassing. You could literally call the phone book, and you could say, hi, I'm just letting people in the area know that we're empowering families and households with natural forms of healthcare. And we wanted to let the community know that we're holding classes in your local area. Would you like the information on how to attend? Okay, the cold contacting. Networking events. Now, these are events that occur in every community. There's usually groups that revolve around the Chamber of Commerce. You can contact the Chamber. The Chamber usually has leads groups. There's also many professional business networking organizations. You can join those groups and expose yourself to more people. It's a way, it's a strategy. You can be industry specific. You can decide that you're going to become the master of dentists, or maybe you're the master of dairy farms, or maybe you're the master of massage therapists, or salons, or spas, or chiropractors, or energy workers, or any foot zonologists. I mean, the list goes on and on and on of industry-specific things. If you wanted to become the master of talking to those people, that's a place to start. It's a way to create your list. And then, of course, there's our primary team strategy, which is classes and referrals. In other words, we call our contacts, we invite them to host classes for us. We go to the classes and we ask for referrals. We say, who do you know that? Right? Who do you know that? An important question. You ask that to your classes. Are you interested in hosting a class for me? These are great things. You're asking for referrals. Most of our big builders have built this way, classes and referrals. All right, now let's talk a little bit about fail-safe marketing materials. There's some marketing materials that you can invest in that you're pretty much going to get a return on investment on. And there's other things that you can spend money on that you're pretty much not going to get a return on investment. All right, so let's point some of those out. The Modern Essentials book, in my opinion, is by far the #1 marketing tool. You cannot go wrong with a Marketing Essentials book. If you put it in people's hands, you will probably be selling oils. And so that's been the case. So I've never gone wrong with buying Modern Essentials book. A to Z guidebooks. Now this is a less expensive way. I consider them less effective, but nonetheless they still serve some of the same purpose. It's putting information on the problems and solutions that doTERRA can provide in somebody's hands. It's a pretty safe investment. Introduction to oil kits. These are the little purple boxes that have the 5 milliliter lemon, lavender, and lime. They have a CD in there and a little pamphlet. For myself, this is my primary sample kit. But again, when you're picking a strategy, you must be committed to your strategy. If you're not committed to your strategy, you can burn through a lot of money. You can buy a lot of books and intro kits, and you can give out a lot of oils, and if you are not committed to your strategy, you may not ever see a return on it. And so the way that I get a return is I'm very persistent in my follow-through. When I give out a kit, I follow through until I get an answer, one way or the other. Sample vials. If you get the little sample vials from Aroma Tools, My Oil Business, or wherever you can get them, that allows you to share your oils with other people. And if you're sharing oils with other people, they are having experiences, and again, you're most likely selling oils. This is the same holds true for most of the doTERRA products. The Tear Pads are also a great marketing investment because if you have Tear Pads, this is a sheet that, again, empowers people. It informs them on how doTERRA can solve their problems. Now, these are things that are less effective. There are companies out there that offer leads for sale. You can buy leads. That is a very hard road to hoe. And so I would never recommend that to anyone unless, of course, you're just a phone master and you don't mind pounding the phone because you'll probably call 100 leads to get one interested. And if you're spending $5 a lead, that's a lot of money. All right, websites and landing pages I've found for myself are virtually useless. They're nice as a backup and as supportive material, but as a primary marketing strategy, it's really not a good use of your time or resources. It's good to have one. The corporation does provide you with one because you do need an information spot. I do subscribe to doTERRA Pro, which does have some nice landing pages and some nice videos, and it gives me a place to send people. But I have found, however, as a word of warning, that when I send people to my website, I oftentimes lose them. I think on our team we've had 5 people go to doTERRA.com and randomly enroll on teams that were people that we sampled and introduced. And so the other thing that happens is if they go to your website, they will most likely enroll as a preferred member. And of course, a preferred member account is completely useless. So that's a good way to cheat your people, is to get them signed up as preferred customers. If you want to have them have the full membership benefits, then you will sign them up as an IPC. The only time I ever use the preferred member account is if, one, somebody has gone to my website and signed themselves up and did not talk to me, where I could correctly inform them at the benefits of membership. Or it's because they have a business and I'm able to strategically use the preferred member account to maximize their benefits even further. So for example, a case would be, say I had a retail front, like a health food store or something to that nature, then I could sign the owner up as an IPC and sign their store up as a preferred member. That way the owner can order the store's supply through the preferred member account, earn their 9% commission on it, which increases the profit margin, which makes it more viable for the store shelf. See, that's an example of where that preferred member account becomes a benefit. But other than that, I don't like to send people there. I don't believe that it's a value to them to do that. So if they go, that's why I rarely send people to my websites anymore. I almost don't hand out business cards for that reason. I still do, but nobody ever calls you, very rarely. And so unless you are getting the business card from the other person, then you're probably not likely to see anything from business cards directly. It's nice to have them. Again, it's like having a website. You probably should have them so that you have that professional edge. You have a reference point. But again, a website, a business card is not going to drive your marketing efforts. You are going to drive your marketing efforts, and you use business cards and websites as a support. Banners, again, virtually useless. Car decals, more uselessness. Matter of fact, all the car banner does is car decal may help with tax reasons. That might be a legitimate reason to have one. But as far as marketing, I've even fully wrapped vehicles before for different companies, and it is a useless strategy. Can be expensive, but very rarely is anyone going to come up or dial a number from your windshield. Also, you run the risk, if your car isn't just right, portraying a very negative image of the effectiveness of your business. And so it's not always the best thing to do. Logo wear, again, I wear a logoed shirt a lot. I wear logoed shirts 2 classes to add to the professionalism of my presentation. But as far as wearing logoed wear out in the community, I do that as well. And the only people that have ever come up to me and said, oh, doTERRA, are people who are already familiar, already in. So as a marketing strategy, it's not very effective. And so those are some things to think about on that. Okay, step 7, deliver an effective presentation. All attraction activities lead to the presentation. Presentation is the grand poobah. This is where the rubber hits the road. This is the point in which revenue is generated. So all marketing activity is designed to lead or get a presentation opportunity. And so in doTERRA Edge, we have a 3-pad system on delivering the presentation. It starts with the presentation pad, which is the class, on the left side of your screen. When you complete the presentation, then you make the offer, and the offer is on the enrollment kit options, which is the kit pad in the middle. On the back side of that is the business opportunity and the 2 larger kits that are good for business, which are the diamond kit and the sharing oil kit. It's on the back side of the enrollment kit options. When I get to the end of my presentation, I approach them as users, and then I mention that if they have a desire to earn an income from doTERRA, they do have that opportunity. And if they turn that page over, they can see the income potential that's offered by doing that. If that is you, then I would strongly recommend that you consider the 2 kits that are on the back of the sheet. And so that directs people, that helps them start their businesses correctly, fully empowered, ready to make money, you're ready to share. If you buy a little kit when you start, basically, you're not going to have the oils to share, you're not going to have experience with the product, it just makes your job harder. So get as much product as you can. The optimal, best place to start is the diamond kit. And so never be afraid to share that, and never make a judgment on your audience of whether or not they can afford it. They'll tell you if they can afford it or not. Don't tell them whether or not they can afford it. They are going to be, if they want to make money, if they start with a diamond kit, they're going to be huge, a long way ahead of the game. They're going to have the product. They're going to have experience with the product. They're going to have the maximum benefit through loyalty rewards. They're going to have extra free product credits to the tune of $400 worth of free products. These things are critical when it comes to sharing. So diamond kit all the way if you're building. All right, and then that gets to the enrollment, and the sheet on the right is the enrollment form, and it's designed to map out the benefit of the product. So I simply tell people if they would like to set up a doTERRA account to fill in the areas that are highlighted, and then select the level of benefit that you would like to start with. And then all the kits are listed in the order of their benefit in the middle. And then of course, I offer incentives for setting up the loyalty rewards. So I'll say that, and if you'll set up your loyalty reward order for 100 PV or more for the following month, then I'll give you a free Modern Essentials book, or I'll make some sort of offer for them to do that. Then most people that enroll will enroll with a larger kit and on full loyalty rewards if you do this correctly. So again, if you're not getting that result, then talk to your active upline, go through the presentation, watch somebody that's skilled at the presentation, how they deliver it, and then just work on perfecting it. Master the presentation. That is where money is made. And you give that presentation to one or many. All right, then step 8, you enroll your customers And then you start the business builders. If somebody says, I want to do doTERRA as a business, then you work them immediately to the Fast Track Planner. The Fast Track Planner is our duplication system. It goes step by step from preparing to building your business to duplicating yourself and doing leadership type activities. All these things are mapped out in a checklist format. It tells you what to do daily, what to do weekly, and what to do monthly to optimize your chances for success. And then it shows you the path, and you can set your goals. It allows you to track your contacts to make sure that everyone is going through the same steps. You can find this on doTERRAEdge.com, and you can click through on Success System, and you should have Fast Track Planners in your arsenal ready to go for a person when they say, I want to build a business. If somebody says, I want to build a doTERRA business, then pull out the Fast Track Planner and say, great, this is where we start. And there's a little thing on it, by the way, that says Start right there. It doesn't get much easier. Press Start. All right. Now, once somebody enrolls, then you want to connect them. You want to connect them to our community. We have the doTERRA Edge Facebook community. So as soon as someone joins, whether they're a customer or a business builder, you want to get them connected to the Facebook community. Now, many of you probably are connected to the Facebook community already, so you know all about it. But basically, through that vehicle, you can ask questions, you can get support. There's many in our community that are very, very skilled with oils and business and everything you could possibly imagine. We have almost 1,200 members on that site. And so when you post something, oftentimes you're able to connect and find solutions to your problems. This engages your community with you as becoming a long-term customer. Then you engage that community and you start training your builders. Get them plugged into the weekly team conference calls. We also have the doTERRA Edge Leadership Development and Mentoring Program. So if you want to lead a large team, this is where you send them. That's on Wednesdays. And then also, these are other ways that we help you succeed. We have the e-news. We have the doTERRA Edge webinars, which tonight is an Edge webinar. And we have the team support website, doTERRAEdge.com, which connects you to training and step-by-step processes for getting your business started and growing and running and managing your business. This is the connection focal point, doTERRAEdge.com. It's the team system. All right, so in the final parts here, let's just remind you what the flow is that you've learned tonight. So basically in your marketing flow, what does it look like? You're finding people, you're getting them to a list. Once names are on the list, then you're contacting that list. A contact is a direct and clear invitation to accept a sample or attend a class. That is a contact. You sample them, you follow up with them, you invite them to hear a presentation. The presentation is when they learn how to use the oils and you empower their household. That's when all the magic happens. Then you enroll them. Once they enroll, then you connect them to the community, which keeps them involved with buying the product and using the product to its best benefit. Then you engage them and train them so that they can be effective customers and they can effectively share with other people. This is the flow of your marketing system. All right, so with that, I'm going